Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series with the Los Angeles Angels. And we are just about to get spring training underway here for the 2029 season in Los Angeles. It'll be our 5th season as general manager of these Angels. Had some money to spend this past off season, and we focused on 2 major acquisitions. One was the catcher Min Jae Kim out of South Korea. Signed him to a 4-year deal for $11.2 million a year, and think he can definitely upgrade us offensively at catcher. Should draw a ton of walks. Good influence in the clubhouse with that captain personality and the high leadership, loyalty, and baseball intelligence. He's only a competent defensive catcher, so we may be substituting him in the late innings when we've got victories. But he's got pretty strong splits. He's not going to be playing against left-handed pitching for us, but think that he can be a very effective offensive player against right-handed pitching, particularly with that 65 home run power and 75 eye against righties. So think that he will be a upgrade to the offense. And speaking of upgrades to the offense as well as the defense, we also signed catcher Yoshihiko Wakabayashi, who is a very good defensive shortstop, and we think can be a extremely interesting bat for us. Another guy with an incredible eye who should draw a ton of walks, and a really good contact hitter. Gap power only average and below average home run power, but still think that he can be a very good number 2 hitter for us. Not a ton of speed, which isn't ideal, but still should get on base a lot in front of the big boppers like Vlad Guerrero Jr. Swaney making a ton of money, $410 million over 10 years, so it's going to be real important to us that he actually lives up to what he think his true potential is as a guy who should be hopefully putting up an on-base percentage of in the high 300s at the very least, and be a very good defensive shortstop for us. And a good result to get the season started on opening day, an 8-0 win over Texas. As you'll remember, that's a very, 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 very tiny measure of revenge for us after the Rangers took us out 3-0 in the divisional series last year when we had the best record in baseball. So hopefully come playoff time this year, if we face the Rangers, we'll have more results like yesterday's than last October's. Also have gotten the results from the long series of programs that we started in the development lab at the beginning of the off season, and a pretty good result for us. We ended up having 4 outstanding programs to go with 2 successful programs, 4 no improvements, but none were really complete failures, so that's positive. Jake Riley, an outstanding result with his pitch control program. Both his potential and current control improved by less than 5. So although it says an outstanding result, the substance not actually all that significant, but still progress in the right direction. Jake Riley, as you remember, if you've watched previous episodes, player we took 14th overall in 2027. We don't normally take players with low work ethic, low leadership, and a lot of other negative personality traits, but figured we would try to work on the toy cannon as an experiment and see if the big investment we have in coaching and player development pays off. And he's been in the development lab the last couple of years and had some successful results. Came up to the majors last season when he was 2-0 with a 1.65 ERA and a small sample size, and certainly looks like he is capable of being a starter for us this year. And given that we focused on the offense with the shortstop and the catcher we picked up, we didn't really bring on a guy to compete for a starting rotation spot. I would have to think that Jake Riley is going to be making this team in the rotation out of spring training as long as he's healthy. Andres Rodriguez, last year's American League Rookie of the Year, successful result in his gap power program, with his gap power rating improving by a ridiculous 15 points. That sounds more like the outstanding result to me. So with his speed and with his now well above average gap power and the potential for it to get much, much higher, nice result for him as he tries to build on the 6.5 WAR he put up for us as a rookie. Sean Gamble, who's going to be competing for a roster spot this year as well. Riley, Rodriguez, and Gamble are our first-round draft picks from 2025, 2026, and 2027, and they're all in the development lab with us. Gamble, unfortunately, had been making good progress on his attempt to generate more bat speed and home run power, but ultimately ends up with no improvement there. Tyler Koopman improves both his potential and current control. Not necessarily his greatest strength, but he's still a former fifth-round pitcher who's done well for us, probably going to be beginning the year in AAA and not too far from potentially getting an opportunity at the majors. Mike Scott, another guy, potential control improved by 5, current control improved a little less than 5. 11th round pick from 2027 who really just flourished his first year in rookie ball. 35 strikeouts in 20 2/3 innings. Going to be 20 years old this year. Presumably will be starting the year in A ball, and could certainly see him rapidly moving up through the organization. Tony Godinez, no improvement in his gap power program for the young prospect who's spent a couple of injury-plagued years in the DSL, hopefully about ready to graduate to A-ball. Anthony Volpe, generate bat speed, both his current and potential power had improvements, his current improving by a full 5 points. So it'd be nice to get a little more pop out of him, although it still looks like he's borderline to be a major league average power hitter. He's going to be working on playing second and third in spring training this year, as he is likely headed to a utility infielder spot for us with the addition of Wakabayashi. Carlos Espinoza, traded for him this offseason, no improvement in pitch movement. Christian Scott, unfortunately, after leading the AL with 17 wins a year ago, thought we had a chance of improving his secondary pitches, but no improvement there. But Taj Bradley, another important starter for us, improved his control rating. So that was good to see. Should make Taj Bradley even more effective next year after a bit of a down year with a 4.87 ERA for us in his first full season with the Angels. And we're going to, as we usually do, have a defensive focus with these shorter programs that we're doing now. A lot of familiar names going to be in these programs. Sean Gamble and Swaney Wakabayashi working on their infield defense. The younger players, Joshua Lugo and Andres Rodriguez, working on their outfield defense. New addition, Emmanuel Rodriguez, working on base running fundamentals. Volpe, as we touched upon, going to be working on learning a new position. Baldwin, Kim, and Flores, so the two catchers from last year who are likely competing for a backup spot, and the new addition in Kim, all working on their defense at catcher, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. going to work on his infield defense at first base. So we will find out how those programs go after spring training is officially over. Hopefully we can keep this team healthy over the next few weeks and get ready to try to win a third consecutive AL West title with the Angels. And the early stages of spring training going pretty well, off to a 7-3-1 start over the first couple weeks. Andres Rodriguez having a monster spring, along with Sean Gamble, who's also hitting over 400. Emmanuel Rodriguez, the new addition, competing for an outfield spot. Second in the league in OPS. Taj Bradley, coming off of that good result in the development lab, tied for the league lead in wins and strikeouts. So don't put too much stock in spring training wins and losses and spring training performance, but would rather have guys playing well. And it seems like we've got several of the younger players in our organization doing a nice job with the bat in spring training so far. And we've run our record to 11-4-1 and gotten to our mid-development lab evaluations. You can see Bradley still doing outstanding. Wakabayashi also hitting well, which is good to see given the money that we are spending on him. Not surprisingly, some of these more difficult infield and outfield and catching defense programs that we're working, not looking like we're going to have quite as high a success rate as we did in the longer programs. But Sean Gamble on track with his infield defense, Emmanuel Rodriguez on track with his base running, and Min-Jae Kim and Juan Flores both on track right now in their catching. A lot of frustrated guys, and unfortunately, Wakabayashi is struggling to improve his infield defense. Certainly hoping we don't see any regression from him. He's just borderline under struggling, so hopefully we'll make a little more progress with him going forward. But after having 6 successful long programs, looks like we'll be fortunate if we get 4 successful short programs here over the spring. And we haven't been playing as well over the past week. Since last time we checked in, we've only won 1 spring training game against the Twins, heading into the final week of spring training, and then almost 2 weeks off because the season will be starting overseas somewhere for some teams that are not our Los Angeles Angels. Probably one of the least surprising bits of business for those of you who have been following us over the years as we head into the end of spring training. Ben Joyce, injured, diagnosis pending with something to his elbow that happened a couple days ago. So the reliever that we signed to a long extension towards the early stages of this contract has never become what we hoped he would be. He's fragile in terms of his injury proneness already, and he's had a pretty significant injury history over the years. You can see 3 injuries in 2026, although none were all that significant. 2027 had a hamstring strain that kept him out for a couple of months, and then his season ended with a partially torn UCL. Last season, 3 months of shoulder inflammation and then a mild ab strain, and now, of course, dealing with a potential elbow injury. And the news on Joyce, about as bad as it could be. Torn elbow ligament down for 11 months, so the hope is he'll be ready for spring training a year from now. But definitely a hit to the bullpen to be losing Joyce, but we've honestly had him healthy so infrequently that I can't say at this point that it's unexpected. And another injury as we head into the final days of spring training. Fortunately, this one not as significant. Andres Rodriguez out for a week with a hand contusion, so he should be back and ready to hopefully perhaps try to chase after an MVP award a season after winning Rookie of the Year. And we've now made it through spring training, so time to start making those difficult roster cuts as we get ready to head, I guess not so much north from Arizona, but west from Arizona to begin the Major League season. 15-11-2 record, didn't play as well over the final couple of weeks of spring training. The youngster Sean Gamble led the American League with a .340 average, making a strong case to try to stick on the Major League roster, even though have to be creative to get him playing time, given some of the talent that we have. Taj Bradley ended up tied for the league in wins, lead in wins, and Cade Smith, our stopper, led the league in saves during spring training, for what that's worth. And we've made our decisions on the 13 pitchers that we're going to be bringing north with us. Tyler Koopman, we talked about him when we reviewed the development lab, ended up being our final cut. The 23-year-old hadn't played above Double-A, so he's going to be starting the season in Triple-A for us. Joan Duran back as our closer. Cade Smith back as our stopper. The lefty Garrett McDaniels and the new addition, the righty Carlos Espinoza, will be working as setup men for us. Righties Colin Snyder and Ryan Walker back in middle relief roles. George Klassen, long reliever for us this year. He'll be a spot starter if we need somebody. And the lefty Gabe Spire back as our left-handed specialist and a middle reliever for us as well. Taking a look at the rotation, I don't think there's any big surprises here. Schwellenbach will be our 1 starter, Taj Bradley number 2, Michael King back as our number 3 starter, Christian Scott will be our 4th starter, and the young lefty Jake Riley makes the team out of spring training. Did not have a great spring for us, as you can see, with a 5.14 ERA over 5 starts, but he is still going to get the first chance to be our number 5 starter and hopefully continue his development despite that poor work ethic at the major league level. And as far as the position players, as you know, we've got a lot of guys working on defense in the development lab. Still have a couple final cuts that we need to think about and consider. Honestly, some of it may come down to what happens with these catcher defense programs. If Flores or Baldwin ends up with a positive result, which neither unfortunately looks poised to deliver right now, that could be the deciding factor in which one of them kind of gets the job to be the backup to Kim. Barring that, I think Flores actually probably gets the job. Drake Baldwin still does have 1 option year left, and he is a left-handed hitter who's not particularly adept against left-handed pitching. Can't claim after last season that Flores is a particularly adept offensive player either, but he is at least a right-handed batter and looks able, at least in terms of his ratings, to manage left-handed pitching perhaps a little bit better than Baldwin. And Flores is currently the best defensive catcher that we also have, so could be a good complement to Kim in terms of being able to sub in for him in the late innings defensively. Unfortunately, both Wakabayashi and Andres Rodriguez are really struggling with their infield defense programs now, just a day away from the finish. So hopefully we don't have any material regression with those two guys defensively, since they're both so important to us as our starting shortstop and starting center fielder. Would definitely hate to see them go in the wrong direction defensively, but it is certainly looking like a possibility here with just a day until we find out how those programs went. And unfortunately, it ended up being a pretty unsuccessful trip through the development lab with these shorter programs. Artie Moreno expecting us to win it all this year, so high expectations there. We'll take a look at the bad news first. Wakabayashi, poor result with his improved defense programs. Fortunately, it doesn't seem like there were any noticeable changes, and we don't really see anything in the defensive ratings. Andres Rodriguez, also poor result with his outfield defense program. Taking a look at the ratings, though, kind of looks pretty similar to what he's always been, so fortunately no significant regression there. No improvement from Lugo, no improvement from Volpe trying to learn a new position, although playing him at second and third throughout spring training has helped ramp him up on those positions. Drake Baldwin, no improvement at catcher. Juan Flores, no improvement at catcher. And Vlad Guerrero Jr., no improvement at first base. Did get the outstanding result at catcher from Min Jae Kim. Arm and catcher ability both improved by 5. Framing rating also improved a bit. That was a big boost. We talked about his bat already, but now he's clearly a slightly above average catcher in everything, which given his bat and his personality should work for us. Don't normally put 33-year-old players through the development lab, but certainly happy to see that you can get a outstanding result even with someone who is that old. Emmanuel Rodriguez going to be competing for a spot in the outfield, successful with his base running program. And then Sean Gamble, successful with his infield defense, his infield arm and error rating both improved by 5. Range and double play both improved to less. He's been hitting very well in spring training, as we talked about. and the former number 2 overall pick is going to be competing for a spot on this roster. And if we do give him a spot on the major league team, going to want to find a way to play him every day. He's probably going to be in the battle for the final cuts. He's only had 262 at-bats above Double A in his career, only 22 years old, but he is the number 27 prospect in baseball and certainly looks like he can hold his own at the major league level with his bat, brings good speed, good glove in both the infield and the outfield, and a good personality as well. So still have some tough decisions to make the final 2 cuts for this roster. And we've made our decisions on the 13 players that are going to be going north with us. The catcher, Drake Baldwin, and the utility infielder, Mr. Mershon, who was with us for parts of the last couple seasons, were the final 2 cuts. So everyone on the roster is going to get a chance to start against either lefties or righties. So a lot of platoon situations, but also a lot of pretty important players for us in the past having less prominent roles this season. Still finalizing what the lineups are going to look like, so these are subject to change before we get to the start of the regular season. But we anticipate putting the young second baseman Sean Gamble in as our leadoff hitter against right-handed pitching. Wakabayashi will hit number 2 and play short. Andres Rodriguez drops from the leadoff spot into the 3-hole after that strong rookie season and his improvement in the development lab and his ability to drive the ball into the gaps. Vlad Guerrero Jr. back as our cleanup hitter. First baseman Kyle Tucker drops to number 5 in the lineup. He'll be our right fielder. New catcher Min Jae Kim will hit number 6. Addison Barger, the third baseman, who's become a really good offensive player for us, number 7 in the lineup. New platoon left fielder Emmanuel Rodriguez will be our left fielder, and Anthony Scull, who's been fighting for a roster spot the last couple seasons, going to get an opportunity to be our DH. You can see against right-handed pitching, we think we can be pretty devastating. 7 left-handed hitters in the lineup, and the 2 righties in Wakabayashi and Guerrero Jr. should be pretty productive as well. Different looking lineup against left-handed pitching. Zach Neto becomes our third baseman. He's been a long-time starter for us at second base, but with the addition of Wakabayashi and Gamble onto the major league roster, Neto joins Anthony Volpe into moving into more of a utility role, but he will start for us against left-handed pitching. Wakabayashi, of course, at short. Rodriguez, of course, in center. Guerrero, of course, at first. Dylan Cruz will be our designated hitter. Kyle Tucker will play right but bat 6th against left-handed pitching. Anthony Volpe going to get a shot as our second baseman. Sean Gamble, we're going to try to play the rookie every day, and he's going to play left field for us since he's better there defensively than Cruz as we try to take advantage of his defensive quality and versatility. And then Juan Flores, given his good defense and the fact that Kim's got pretty dramatic lefty-righty splits, will be our starting catcher against lefties to build in some off days for Min Jae Kim. So against left-handed pitching, we will have 3 lefties in the lineup, but with reigning Rookie of the Year Andres Rodriguez, a well-established major leaguer in Kyle Tucker, and the youngster Sean Gamble, who we want to play every day. I think that those lefties can hopefully hold their own against left-handed pitching, and we'll have 6 righties in the lineup against the Southpaws. And before we finish things up, we'll take a quick look at the preseason predictions. Our Angels not expected to win the division. The Rangers, who took us out of the playoffs last year, expected to win 95 games, while we're expected to only win 91 from this simulation. So looks like we are expected to be back in the playoffs again for a 3rd straight year, but expected to be doing it as a wild card team rather than as a division winner. Not expecting any of our Angels to be among the top offensive players in the game, but Top pitchers, Schwellenbach went 15-11 with a 3.09 ERA. Riley 17-10 with a 3.71 ERA. Scott 13-8 with a 3.46 ERA. And King 13-10 with a 3.68 ERA. So 4 of our 5 starting pitchers expected to be among the best in the American League this year if those guys stay healthy and this simulation holds true. Certainly would love to see that. Orioles with 96 wins expected to be the best team in the American League, just edging out the Rangers. A bit more parity in the National League. The Diamondbacks with 94 wins expected, anticipated being the only 90-win team in the National League this season. And with that, we'll call it an episode. Probably will still be tweaking, as I noted, the lineups a little bit between now and the actual start of the regular season, because although it's opening today on the 20th, we've still got 9 days till we begin our regular season against Washington. And we'll find out how the season gets started in our next episode. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.